Welcome to episode 3 of my DIY redecorating project. Today we are going to put the plasterboard on the wall. So let's jump straight into it and see what is involved with plasterboarding. So plasterboard generally comes in standard sizes, 2.4 meters by 1.2 or 1.5, I can't remember the width. And you'll find most rooms, floor to ceiling, are just over 2.4 meters. As you don't want your plasterboard on the floor as that causes rising damp. So there's not too much cutting involved in a normal size room, but most normal rooms are not normal size. So, I've done my tester piece. First things first, we're going to do this bit of the wall first. So, these are my blocks to help keep the plasterboard off the floor because it shouldn't be touching the floor. First, we measure in multiple spots just to check it fits. That's about 63 all across. And then we measure again. Measure twice, cut once. That's what they say. Once we've measured it, we then come to our plasterboard and we mark up 63 centimeters. I've already done, but you get the idea. Once marked up, we get a straight edge. Ideally, you'd have something longer than the plasterboard, but this is the longest thing I've got. Get your Stanley knife. Score the plasterboard. And then it should just snap. And then again with the Stanley knife, chop through, and then check that it fits. And then it fits nicely most of the way along, but then it's just a little bit too tall over here. So with our plasterboard knife, look at the teeth on that, just give it a little trim. And then with a little bit of encouragement, nice. As you can see, that fits nicely. And then, just so we don't forget, a low window. So, I'm going to carry on marking these out, as apparently one of these bags does 2 boards worth. So you only get a certain amount of time before it goes dry, so you need to have these all marked out with what you're going to do before you start mixing up the glue. So I'm going to carry on marking out 2 boards worth, and then we'll get to the stick in. So then, I've marked out, cut my plasterboard that I need. A few little pieces in there for these gaps. When we played with plasterboard on our course, we nailed it to a wood frame, so I could nail it onto here, and then it just hangs by nails or screws. One problem I'll have, if I nail this onto the wood, this will sit flat, and then this will be like this with the sticky stuff behind it, and then they won't line up properly when I come to plaster it. So we're gonna dot and dab on the wood as well. I think it will stick, and then we're gonna screw it in as well, just as a double make sure. So we've got our 15.5 litres of water, our mixer, and our drywall adhesive. All of this is going to go in there, and I've just had a slight panic. That's 25 kilos, that's a 40 litre bucket, and 15.5 litres of water. Let's hope it fits. So we've mixed up our drywall adhesive for our dotting and dabbing. The instructions say we have to leave it 10 minutes before we start using it. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to go make a brew. The regulations say there should be a thick, constant layer across the top of any plasterboard. This is something to do with fire, so it can't travel up past it. And then 20% of all of the board should be covered. The other thing to bear in mind is where the radiator mounts will be, is to add extra adhesive there, because naturally the radiators weigh a lot, and if there isn't the extra stuff for the screws to go into, it'll just fall out of the wall. So I'm going to go and get a coffee, and we will be back to get on with this. Let's hope it goes well. So I've cleaned down all of my tools, ready for the next batch. But check this out. Does look good, it looks miles better than before. And this will be really easy to plaster onto. So you join me now on the next day. We spent a couple of hours last night chopping up all my plasterboard, so they're just big Lego pieces now. I'm gonna get another batch of adhesive mixed up, and then we'll get sticking it on the wall. And we are finished with the plasterboarding. Doesn't it look so much better? So the adhesive takes 90 minutes to 2 hours to be dry, but it takes 24 hours to be solid. So we're going to leave this for today, and then we're going to do some prep for the plastering. We need to go around and you'll find out about plasterer's tape, because every profession has its own tape. You've got plasterer's tape, electrician's tape, plumber's tape, painter's tape, and even ducks have their own tape. And we will be putting on the angle bead around the corners, which you will also see. Once we've done them, it's plastering time. So now it's plastering time. We're going to start with the ceiling. I could probably get away with not doing the ceiling, but seeing as I'm going to have done all 4 other walls, I may as well do it. It'll all look the same then. It'll have the same texture, same finish. I've been putting the ceiling off for ages because I don't want to do it. It's hard work doing the ceiling, and it's the biggest surface area of the room, so whatever. I'm forcing myself to do it today. I've even bought some new things to try and incentivise myself to do it. I bought a speed skim, which makes getting the plaster flat much easier, apparently. I bought some platforms to stand on instead of going up and down a ladder 100 times. And yeah, the room is prepped. As you can see, we've got our plasterer's tape everywhere that was needed, because do you even have a trade if you don't have your own tape? I've just PVA'd the roof. We're going to let that go tacky. We're going to let that dry a little bit, which is just enough time to go and make a coffee and mix up the batch of plaster we're going to need. So the first coat is on. It was just as difficult as I expected it to be, and took a tad longer even than I expected. And it's finished. These dark patches like this are just where it's drying a bit faster than everywhere else. But it's done. Finally, and not a moment too soon. If I'm honest, I've absolutely hated doing the ceiling, and look at the mess it makes. Naturally, this is because I'm not very good at plastering. I've dropped lots down the walls in lots of places, which isn't a problem when it's dry. It will just chip off. It won't be an issue. But yeah, right. We're going to leave this to dry for today, and then we're going to get on with the walls over the next couple of days, maybe. And it's finally finished. And not a moment too soon. God, I'm bored of plastering. And mixing up plastering, cleaning out the buckets, and mixing more plastering, cleaning out the buckets over and over and over and over and over again. And then what we have is this wall has just been finished, and this wall has just been finished. And now we need to let it all dry. So I did this wall yesterday. This wall is dry. You might be able to see it's quite a light pink colour. And this wall was done yesterday. You can see as it's drying from the heat from the house. So we have to leave it to completely dry now, and then we can paint it. So I'm pretty happy with my plastering. The walls were pretty good. The ceiling was difficult, and I don't want to do that again. I've done a good job of plastering myself. And the floors, I could paint them as well if I wanted to. But we're going to clear up now, leave this. It takes a few days, maybe even a week to dry. If you paint it before it's dry, then you paint the flakes off again. So that will be it for this episode. Look at the state of my brand new platforms that I bought. And next episode, which will be in a couple of weeks, will be painting. So I'll catch you then. So when I did my plastering course last year, our teacher said, make sure you invest in a good plastering trowel. He said this will spend most of its time wet and it'll rust if you buy a crap one. So I invested 50 quid in this thing. Look at it. It's still shiny, a bit dirty, but it's still looking good. I bought this trowel at the exact same time, and look how orange and rusty it is. This was a cheap one. And again, it's gone through all the same stuff as this, but this looks like this now. So I'm going to attempt to clean this up a little bit because I don't want rust going in everything. And we'll try and get it looking like this, although it won't ever last because it will just rust again, because this is stainless steel and this isn't. So let's give that a go. Not bad. Not quite new, but it won't last anyway. But much better. Let's go.